Yep, that's grand. If you're happy that you can see my slides, I will tear on. So I'm going to find them.
Yep, that looks grand, Emma.
Okay, guys, I'm going to run through this and give you some sort of the overall of what you would do going to an interview, okay? I can't see the chat function here, okay? If you do have any specific questions as you go through, Ludovica, if you don't mind, if you could take some of those questions, that'd be much appreciated. And then we'll come back together at the end. Now, rightly so, I do not know the questions for the interview. I think that's only fair. What I have done is really ask Columnist and Rory loads of questions to try and guess what they might be. They won't tell me. So I've done my best here to think how can we best prepare you for this. So by the end of this session, we want you to understand that you're confident that you can go into this interview, how to help performance, and how to answer questions I think you're probably going to get. We're going to look at the STAR technique, okay, because that's where you get points on an interview, and then other sources of help if you think you want to read a little bit further. So what is an interview? Okay, it actually is a two-way conversation. It has proper purpose, okay? It allows you to show your abilities, your knowledge, and your personality. What sets you apart from the other candidates? Okay, it's also for the recruiters. Okay, so it's for Study USA to think, look, do they know this program? Does the student know this? Why do they want to do it? And are you going to complete it? Okay, as with an employer, these guys will be mostly concerned they'll take people onto the program who don't know what they're getting into, won't enjoy it, and then won't complete it. It's like taking on an employee who's like not going to enjoy the job because they don't know what they're signing up for. Can I encourage you that if you get to interview stage, you've already impressed them. They like you, okay? Go in with that confidence. As someone who's interviewed a lot of people, I can tell you they are very long, very boring days, okay? Nobody interviews for fun. So the fact that you have got there, you're not there to fill a space, okay? They want to hear more about you, so go with that confidence. So what types of questions could you potentially get? Small talk, all right? It's okay to engage the interviewer when you go in. Oh, how was your journey? Was the weather okay? How did you get here? Okay, did you find us? That sort of stuff. So it's okay to engage and be chatty. Expect that as you go in. They're trying to build rapport and relax you. You might get some hypothetical stuff. What would you do if? How would you deal with? Okay, they're not expecting you to have the perfect answer for this. It's hypothetical. Okay, but they're looking for someone who can critically think and how they would use their best common sense. All right, so don't go nuts with your hypothetical questions. So motivation, massive, huge question. You're definitely going to get this one. Okay, why do you want to study him? And we'll have a wee think about that one as well. So make sure that's going to be a positive answer. Okay, don't go with I'm so fed up with Belfast. Okay, so don't go with push factors, go with pull factors. Okay, so think positively about why you want to go. Competency as well. So can you give me an example of a time when? So employers and recruiters will ask this because if you have evidence that you've done something in the past, you'll be able to do it in the future. So that's just what they're checking for. You might get questions at the end. So if you got anything to ask us, and we'll cover some of those as well. And it's nice for the interviewer and the recruiter to say, look, it's really we haven't covered that you're just not quite sure about. Okay. Please, 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 please know what you said in your application form. Okay. I have applied for jobs in the past. You're going to learn about all my mistakes here. And I've gone to the interview. I applied for ages ago. And when I got there, they had my application form sitting in front of them. Now, I had applied for this job like 3 months ago. I had no idea what I had written. Okay. They started to ask me things. I did not get that job. And I asked for feedback because I always do. They said, we wanted you to talk about this particular thing that you mentioned in your application form, but you didn't evidence in the interview. I did not get that job. Okay. So do not make the same mistakes that I did. Know what you said in your application and be ready to chat about it a little bit more. Please remember, it's the best prepared person that's going to get this. So don't think I'm studying this or that person's at a different level from me or their background is slightly different. It is the person who is the most prepared and shows that they're going to get something out of this that is going to be successful. So know what they want. Okay. Know what Study USA are looking for. Know what your skills are. Know your personal qualities. Know what you're good at. Okay. And have those stories ready to go. This is all about prep. And it's just trying to manage how you're going to share your experience. So 3 big things that I would recommend that you definitely look for, okay? So this is how to prepare. So split it down into 3. First one, start with a placement, okay? Go back to the original advert. What attracted you to this opportunity? Apart from Oh, it's on the USA. Okay, but what else? Okay, why this program and not another program? Okay, what type of person are they looking to place? So go back through again. So what are they really looking for? What skills, knowledge, and experience are required? And then what are you going to do with this when you come back? That's huge. Okay, so this is not a holiday. This is not a I'm going to go and that's it. It's what are you going to do with that information and bring it back again? So how can you look at this opportunity developing? Know about the company, know about the organization. Have a good look at Study USA. What's going on? So check out their business aims, check out their awards, have a good nosy on social network sites. Okay, it's so much easier to update LinkedIn or Twitter than it is to update a website because a website takes a whole committee. Okay, have a look at when you go on, if you Google them instead of looking up just all, look at news and I'll bring up different press releases. Think about things that are impacting on their industry as well. Okay, the other competitors, again, why this company and why not another one? Okay, know yourself. And I mean, this sounds really silly, but loads of people will forget how to actually sell their own skill set. So remind yourself what you've applied for. How do you match? What did you write? I will keep saying, know what you have to offer and have evidence of that. People say, oh, I'm really good at communicating. I'm like, right, prove it. They're like, I didn't think this through. Okay, know what you have. Also know your strengths and your weaknesses. Now, this is not a way to go, oh, I'm really bad at everything. View weakness as something you'd rather you'd like to be better at. Okay, so know what you're good at and something you'd like to be better at. And what's going to set you apart from the other candidates? Why should Study USA bring you along? Okay, what else can you bring to the table? So, hang on. There we go. Right, let's go with the practicalities. So let's get some details right. Please have a good night's sleep the night before. It is not the time to go out partying. Make sure you arrive in good time. Okay, so like, well, don't be there an hour early because that's a bit too keen, but a good 10, 15 minutes beforehand. Be nice to everybody. Okay, because other people will be asked about their opinions of you as well. Make sure you know the specifics of the address. Okay, I've had people who have gone to interview in the wrong place before and rang going, I'm in the wrong place, where I? Okay, so make sure you got the right directions, make sure you got time to spare, know how you're going to get there. Okay, if anybody uses trains, they will know that Monday was a disaster because 4 lines were cancelled. Okay, so have backup plans. All right, if you're taking the car, make sure there's diesel in it. Okay, if you're getting a lift, make sure the person's also awake. So little things like that just to take the stress out of it. Okay, dress smartly, try and have your stuff ready the night before. I have turned into your mother, but make sure it's ready to go. Okay, so first impressions do matter. So don't go crazy with lots and lots of jewelry. Don't wear a big massive hat. Okay, I've interviewed people before and I was like, you're literally wearing a whole tin of links. And I was like, oh, now I've got asthma and it was hard not to cough that entire interview. Okay, because it was really strong. So think about how you're presenting yourself as well. Okay, what to take. Again, you don't need to take lots of stuff with you. Do try and have a copy of your application if you can. All right, you don't have to take in notes. I find notes to be really distracting. Just know what you've written down. Always keep your phone with you in case you've got any problems. You need to be able to ring them. Okay, if somebody's late for an interview and they don't tell me, I just get annoyed. But if you ring me in advance, right, like this is out of my control, it's roadworks, etc., at least we know. Try and avoid props. All right, if you're a fidgeter like me, I'm definitely a fidgeter when it comes to interview. I have to put my hands, I literally cross my knees and put my hands under my legs, or I would knock a glass of water or something flying. So be conscious of how you're presenting yourself. Also, if you get a chair that's one of the desk chairs, the office chairs that swivel around, I interviewed someone once who spent the entire time just twisting around on the chair and had no idea that they were doing it. So just be conscious of your posture and how you're presenting yourselves. First impressions do count. Okay, so you have to think about it. Study USA are going to send you to a university as a representative of the universities here. Make them want to send you. Now, you don't have to go in top hat and tails, but please don't go in your pajamas. Make sure that you look smart and that they could send you, okay? Smile, make sure you respond to them and listen to them. I mean, try and have some good eye contact as well. If that's something you struggle with, it doesn't have to be intense. Like, don't eyeball them. That's also very intimidating. So, for example, this is the same person, okay? So, on first impressions, people make judgments. So, make sure that you present yourself as, yeah, we could send that person as a representative of our organization. So let's go into some of the questions. Okay, tell me about yourself. They always ask that question at the start. And in theory, it's the easiest question to answer because who knows you better than you? If you don't think this round, you will actually come out with some hilarious stuff. Okay, I've had people tell me their star signs. I've had people tell me their favorite food. I've had people tell me like the weirdest hobbies and things. I'm like, that's not really what I was getting at. Okay, so tell me about yourself is a useful thing to have for like your elevator pitch. It's good for networking events. It's good for your LinkedIn profile. Okay, there's nothing wrong with learning that. And it's good for your confidence. You know this question is going to come up. You can have this one nailed and ready to go. I like using the present, past, future structure. Okay, it keeps things quite organized. Okay, so for example, my name is, and I'm currently studying this at this university. Well, that's what you're currently doing. Past. I've maybe done 2 internships during my studies, one with this particular organization, the second with this one, and this is what I achieved within this particular placement. Future. I'm really interested in this industry and I really want to bring these skills to this position. I think that this position would help me develop A, B, and C. So it's adapting that from the job setting to this placement. Okay, so tell me about yourself. What are you studying at the minute? Where did your motivation come from to look at this? What do you hope to get out of it? And in that first question, you've ticked a lot of boxes. And I don't know what the name of your pet is. And that's a good thing. Okay, so think about this. Words count. And your interviewers are going to be sitting with a score sheet going, please say these words, because they want to take someone today. They do not want to have to go back to a second round of interviews. Okay, if you don't say the words, they cannot write them down. And I will keep saying that as well. So know what you wrote and make sure that you evidence it again at interview. Please know the program. Okay, go back to their website. There's some really, really useful videos. Okay, go back to them. You can reference them in your interview. You can say, when I looked on your website, when I listened to this person who did the program at this time. That's good. They're like, oh, evidence, that person's done research. I can give them a point for that. Okay, so look at their website, but also look at all their social media stuff. Pardon me. So make this work for you. You're not expected to know anything about a particular university in depth, but you'll be expected to know a little bit about what it's like to do the program. Okay, and the things that you can like avail of and get used to. When you come to tell your story, okay, so you can either be like me and waffle and say nothing, or give like 2 lines and not get the points. So some of you might have heard of the STAR technique before. A lot of jobs you go for now will actually give you this and say, look, this is how we're scoring it. You must hit these 4 sections or you will not get the points. So when you go into your interview and the employer says, can you give me an example of a time when you overcame a challenge, evidenced resilience, were a good team player, led on a project, this is where you need to have these ready to go. Okay, now, for goodness sake, listen to the full question. Okay, Queens are a nightmare for this. When I interviewed for this job, they asked like a double-barreled question. Can you give me an example of? And now in my head, I was already planning my answer. I'm like, she's still talking. Her lips are still moving, and I have no idea what she's saying. And I had to ask her to repeat the question because I went, oh, teamwork, and started preparing my answer. Listen to the whole question. Okay, so think, how are you going to do this? Separate your story out. So first off, provide the situation. Okay, provide some background. I have no idea about the part-time job you're about to tell me, or the sports club that you're involved in. I don't know. Start and give me some stuff. Okay, then explain what the problem was. Okay, if it's a challenge, if it's an issue, if it was pressure, you have to identify that. Tell me what the pressure was, or tell me what the issue was. The action is the big bit. That's where you should be concentrating so much of your content. Okay, that's where you need to say, like, this is how I particularly did it. This is a problem in the teamwork question, because lots of people say, we did this, we did that. I don't care what we did. I want to know what you did. Okay, what was your role within the team? And that's the one that trips people up a lot. Do not forget to give the results. Okay, a lot of people get to the action and then just stop. And I'm like, and what happened after? They're like, oh yeah, please make sure that's also a positive outcome. The number of stories that I've had, I was like, and what happened? And like the whole thing just fell off a cliff. Okay, so make sure you have something that's a positive outcome. It doesn't have to be about the time that you saved the world. It just has to be, how did you resolve this? What happened after that? Okay, try not to think of any new details as you talk. Okay, say what you planned and then stop. Silence can be okay. Give the interviewers time to make their notes, to write their stuff down. If you're like me and you don't like silence, you'll keep waffling. Don't do that. Okay, say your answer, stop, let them write. That's fine. Okay, so checklist for your star answers. Get into the mind frame of the role you're applying for. You have to show them that you are the student, that you would be a really good representative to go. Please keep your examples recent, relevant, and related. So like the 3 R's, okay? So don't be giving me something from primary school, okay? Don't be giving me something where it's a really long stretch to prove that you were a leader, okay? Because like bossing your brother around doesn't really count. And make sure it's related to what you want to do. Okay, so think about things that you've done in your course. Think about any clubs or societies you're involved with. What you do outside of uni, okay? Think of part-time jobs. There's lots of different things that you can pull in here, okay? Think about the action you took. It's I, not we, okay? So that's what I talked about. It definitely is a big one in the team one. Try and get as many of those keywords in there as possible, okay? So try and think of the skills and the qualities that these guys are looking for. Get them in, all right? Give them something to write down. Okay, so your action should be the bulk of it, because that's what they're asking for. But if you don't set it up, it won't make sense. Okay. Do try to have a positive outcome. Should that positive outcome be, I'll know not to do that again. Okay, so you're like, ooh, personal development, that's an outcome. So let's go for one of the examples. Okay, so this is a bit wordy. And then I'll get you sort of think, how would I mark this? So an example of a time you worked well as part of a team. So this is this person's answer. Situation, they set it up. So it was Friday afternoon, approximately 4 o'clock, line manager rushed in, delivery of stock was due. Okay, so this person must work in retail, but they haven't set it up brilliantly. Okay, the delivery was meant to be the next Friday, but the courier company got the dates mixed up, so it was coming a week earlier. So this meant we had to drop everything and get ourselves ready for the unexpected delivery. So they've actually given quite a good situation. What I would suggest to this person is, tell me a wee bit more here. Are we dealing with sofas or are we dealing with cat food? Because there's two different, like a delivery of 2 sofas is not going to take a long time. But I mean, I've worked in retail and if you get a massive delivery of tiny stuff, it takes a long time. So set it up, okay? Ask. This is the big problem. Most of us were due to leave at 4:30, so only half an hour's time. There weren't many people around to carry out the task. It usually takes an hour to unload and check all the stock. Where do you put it? They're not going to have space for it. So staffing was an issue, timing was an issue, and the current work they were already doing was an issue. So there's some details this person has left out that could have taken this up to the next step. Action. I immediately volunteered to stay behind late to help the company out in its time of need. Probably time of need was unnecessary. Okay. I set about preparing for the delivery, getting together a small group of workers, and you could help. Handed out jobs to people in the group. So one person was doing this, one person was doing this. Briefed the team. Everybody knew exactly what was happening. Once the delivery arrived, we worked hard. All hands on deck. Result. Following the team's hard work, we got the delivery unloaded, stocked the shelves, cross-checked. Line manager was happy, and he thanked us all. And I hope they got overtime for it as well. But he did mention that. Okay. So see the way that the person has set it up. They've done well, but what I would say to take it to that next level, their action is very good because they talked about I. Okay, it would have been nice for the result to also include I. Okay, I felt more confident about dealing with problems in the future. I was recognized for A, B, or C. Okay, so it's just an example of how you would start and organize your content and organize your story. All right. I went back to your application form, okay, for the Study USA, because I'm trying to think, what could they possibly ask you? All right. These are your questions in your application form. And for all of them, they were like 200 words, which is really short. Okay. I am pretty sure they're going to ask you for more detail on this sort of stuff. Okay. Know what you've written and then know how you can bring this out. So what are your personal motivations in applying for a Study USA scholarship? Okay, now be quite specific with this. Okay, does it relate to your study? Is it somewhere that you've always wanted to go? Is it related to your career? Is it You know, you want to, global citizenship is a really nice thing to throw in at the moment. To getting to know different people, different cultures, that's a nice thing to put in as well, okay? I don't have their mark scheme. This is me trying to figure out what they would be looking for. Leadership and teamwork. So Study USA seeks to develop the next generation of leaders in the Northern Irish economy. Please describe one recent example where you have displayed leadership qualities. Now, it's leadership qualities, so they're not expecting you to have stood up and been a big leader, okay? So this could have been if you were doing like small groups within your course and you were like, there's 4 of you and you had like 2 weeks to do something and nobody was doing anything. So you had to like start and organize people. It's like, great, that's okay. So what was your role? What was the outcome? Do you see the specific examples? Okay. Do not go in there and go, oh, I play for a rugby team. We always work as a team. It tells me nothing. Okay. Oh, I work in retail. We always work under pressure. It needs to be a specific example. Okay. Because they can't give you any points for anything that's really general. So adaptability. If you're successful in obtaining a place in Study USA, before you went, what steps should you take to prepare? Okay, now they've even broken this down for you. Please refer to academic, practical, and social considerations. Have some examples of these good to go. Okay, so before you go, all right, you would find out what university you were going to, get their reading list. You would be trying to figure out who the key people were, what resources were available at university, did they have like an international student support system? How are you going to, you know, have you looked at their library online? I studied when I went to Queen's, I spent my second year in Denmark, and this is all the stuff I was doing before I got there. Okay, so I'm kind of giving you cheap notes here what an actual person did, and tried to figure out as much as I could about the course and about the people and about the reading list to get ahead of, because I knew there were loads of other stuff happening. So practical stuff, making sure that, you know, the logistics of travel and how that's going to work. Accommodation, what to take, the weather. I don't know what the weather is going to be like. How long are you going to go? Okay, what's it going to be like? Social considerations. Have you looked up clubs and societies when you get there? Okay, how are you going to deal with that? How are you going to keep contact with people back home? Or maybe you're really involved in something in Queens. How are you going to maintain that at the same time? Okay, and how is that not going to be a distraction? Okay, just throwing stuff out here that you might be asked about. Again, specific examples. Service and participation. US colleges and universities encourage students to volunteer and develop an attitude of service to others, both on campus and wider community. So what volunteering experience do you have that you can bring in order to give back to your college and the community? Now, you would have had to have written this in your application form. If you've got this far, they like what you wrote. They want more information. Think about it. Try and get some numbers into your STAR examples. Okay, try and give me an idea of the scope of what you're doing, the number of people you worked with, the scale of the impact that you made. Okay, so think about this. And it's not just about what you do here, it's about what you're going to do when you get there and then bring back. Okay. What areas of weakness would you like to develop? Again, they're really genuinely not picking holes in you here. They're trying to make sure that you have a realistic idea of your overall personal development. Okay, and they're giving you quite a choice as well, like academic, social, or personal skills. Okay, so try and think of something that you just like to be better at. And it doesn't, as long as it's not something crazy or slightly illegal, make sure that it's like, yeah, I want to be better at that. Even if it's IT or use an initiative or, you know, introducing yourself to new people, networking, finding out about industries in different countries. There's lots of things you could pick there. Employability. In what ways do you hope your participation will impact on your employability and future career plans? This is a bit of a sneaky question, if you don't mind me saying, because some people will have no idea what they want to do in the future. That's okay. Okay, so don't go in thinking I have to have a 10-year plan and I have to explain it all. You don't have that. Okay, you might go, look, I really want to work in this particular sector and I'm really excited to see how that works here. I need skills in and I want to develop those. Nice, tick, tick, tick. Okay, it might be, I don't exactly know. I know I want to make a difference and I want to go on this on Study USA to explore my options and to find out how other people do stuff and figure out what my strengths are. You could talk around that as well. So kind of two different ways you could do that, okay? I don't think they're going to mark you down for going, I'm not 110% sure of my 10-year plan, all right? Because nobody really is, all right? So I hope those help. Those are the original application answers that you were given, questions that you were given. If you want to do a bit more reading around this, pardon me, if you go onto our website, we have a little section on succeeding in recruitment. And there's a section there around interviews, and it goes into these questions in a wee bit more detail. And there it is. And I'll take you through again how to prepare the common interview stuff. Strengths-based is something that we haven't talked about as well. So you talk about your strengths, okay? Something that's going to be genuinely related to this. And go back to the key skills and qualities. So things like resilience and independence and overcoming problems and, you know, networking, communication. These are things they're going to be looking for. Be a good candidate to send. Prospects is a brilliant website. If you haven't used it before, definitely have a nosy. Even whenever you're going for employment and jobs and things like that, there's some really, really good stuff up there. Okay, so a lot of the stuff Study USA hasn't used, but it's useful in the future. Brad Ireland also has some things as well. Again, it's very, obviously it's employer based, but it just gives you some things that you maybe hadn't thought about before. And from the picture, you don't have to keep your hands on your knees. I've just noticed that, but maybe there are visitors too. If you want to chat about this in more detail, we have guidance appointments. So you can either book in for a 15-minute appointment, come and chat to us, we run through a mock interview, try and give as much detail as you can. We also have 15-minute CV checks, but some people use them for quick queries, which is absolutely fine. So before I hand you back to Conleth and check and see if there's any questions for Ludwika, quick quiz, because I love a quiz. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to put your answers in the chat because I can't see them. But they're multiple choice, so I'll just give you the answers as we go. So each one is choice of 3. I want you to tell me which one you think is the best answer. So, interviewer says, tell me about yourself. Which of these is best? So you've got A, born in London, moved to Belfast with my family when I was 12. After high school, attended college, worked part-time jobs. B, enjoy helping people, been volunteering Red Cross the last 2 years, learned many useful skills, and these 3 experiences prepared me to be fundraising coordinator. C, a good person, open personality, love meeting other new people. One of my favorite things to do is spend time with friends. Let's travel. Last summer I went to Europe, a great time. Please don't use C. That's more for a dating profile. Okay, so definitely don't do that one. Okay, the first one's too brief. It doesn't actually tell me anything about you. The middle one has actually already talked about some of the skills the recruiter's looking for. Okay, so give them a head start on some of the stuff that you already have. You're asked a really tricky question and you actually don't know the answer. Okay, so what do? You say, that's really tough, I don't know. Say the first thing that comes in your head, or take a deep breath and think of an answer while restating the question. And you might get this, and you might get something where you're like, I don't know how to answer that. If the employer or the recruiter has to work off a script, if you ask them to repeat the question, they'll repeat the text again. That doesn't help your understanding. So it might help if you go, are you meaning to ask me about? To make sure that you're answering what they definitely are looking for. Okay? Because if you ask them to repeat the question, now they've said it twice, don't understand it either time. All right? So try and make sure you know you're getting the exact question right. Your interviewer asks what your greatest strengths are. How do you respond? So do you go 5 or 10 you think you're best? 2 or 3 with examples? Or everything that was in the job description? Listen to the question. Okay. If the employer asks you for your strength, they're asking for 1, and they will write down the first one you say. So it doesn't matter if you give 10, they write down the first one you say. If they're asking for strengths, plural, stick small. Okay, go 2 or 3. Make sure that they were on the job description. Try and give some examples of them as well. Okay, so this is a question about knowledge of what the role is. When you're asked what your longer term goals are, all right, so you can go with develop my customer service skills by meeting more people, one day become a manager. I'm not really sure, I hadn't really thought about it. This is more in a job one, but it's also related to Study USA. Okay, you want to develop skills during the program. That's what you're looking for, and then you want to bring them back. All right, don't say you have no idea. That means you haven't thought about it. And then don't go with I want to be and pick something higher than. Okay, interview for the role that you're interviewing for. Okay, so keep it realistic. I think this is actually just get a point just for the best graphic I found. What's the safest thing to wear in an interview if you don't know anything about the dress code? If we're going suit, we're doing shirt, we're doing t-shirt and jeans, please go suit if you're not sure. it's always better to dress up. Okay. If you go into the interview and they're all in jeans and t-shirts and you're wearing a suit and a shirt and a tie, that's fine. Okay. It shows you made the effort. If it's the other way around, it's really awkward. Okay. So when in doubt, dress up. Okay. When you're talking about your past experiences, do you only mention work, only mention things you're successful at, or you can mention things outside as well? It's okay to take things from outside. I went for a job once and didn't get it. I say that a lot. And I went back and asked for feedback, because I always ask for feedback. I was like, why was I not successful? I said, when we asked you those questions, you gave all your examples from the one place. But in your application, you mentioned 2 or 3 different places. We wanted to see a breadth of your experience. I was like, ouch. But fair enough. That was true. I gave all my examples from the one particular job. It's okay to spread your experience out and give them an idea of you as a person. Okay. Everybody all right? Okay. Let's go back and see what everybody's doing. Ludwika, did you have any questions in the chat?
Very quiet. I didn't see any questions. So unless I'm having really bad tech issues here, I think everyone's really clear, or everyone was really, really focusing on the presentation.
It's grand. Clearly all the information was being given. If you do get stuck and you're like, something else comes, you're like, oh, I meant to ask about that. Do get in touch. It's not a problem. We're not on the panel, so we can't be biased because we don't know what they're going to ask, but we can support you to figure out the best way to make the most of this opportunity. And it really is brilliant. Okay, so make sure you prepare and are ready to go for this.
Emma, I think you're still sharing your screen.
Oh
so
man,
I'm
sorry.
Yeah, it just means we're yeah, perfect. No, you're all right. It was just we were seeing all of us twice, so it was really weird looking. Look, there's a question actually coming in. Do you have a rough idea how many people make it through the interview stage? I suppose, James, there are between 50 and 55 places available, but that's between Queen's, Ulster University and the colleges. So, it is really competitive. There'll be a lot of students go for this program because it is a fantastic opportunity. So just follow what Emma has guided there. Do your research on the program. Know about the program when you're going in. Read over your application again. Everything that Emma has previously said. And you know what? It wouldn't hurt to watch the video. I'll send the video around either later on today or tomorrow. It wouldn't hurt to watch the video again of this recording, of this session again before your interview, just to help you prepare. Any other questions coming in, folks?
Can I include a wee quick thing that I forgot to? When you're being asked for give an example of, try to have a backup answer as well, because I've gone into interviews before, clearly didn't get them, and said, oh, they were give an example of this, and I went, brilliant, I've got this, and give them this brilliant answer. Second question, can you give me an example of? And I'm like, I was going to use that last question for that one too, and then I had an absolute brain blank, and I didn't have a backup. Try and have a backup answer as well. So it's like, if they ask me about teamwork, I can give them option A or option B. If they ask me about resilience, I have option A and option B. And it's just that preparation. Sorry, I forgot to say that.
Oh, that's grand, Emma. We'll hang about for another minute or so to see if there's any other questions coming in. Obviously, if anybody has any further questions, you can email Go Global or just reply to the meeting request, I think, or just goglobal@qub.ac.uk, and we'll try and help out where we can. But I don't see anything else coming in. So look, Emma and Ludwika, thank you very much for coming along. That was really, really useful, and will help the students to prepare for the interviews. For all you guys, best of luck with the interviews. We hope you get it. It is, like I say, I've reiterated this a couple of times, it's a brilliant program. Put all efforts into the interview, and fingers crossed you'll get offered a place. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to stop the recording and just end the